Congressman Doug Collins, ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. He joins us from Washington, D.C. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody.
So it's official. The 116th Congress will forever be known as the Impeachment Congress, won't it?
No, it's going to be known as the Chaos Congress. It's it's run by a speaker who is not a leader, she's a follower. She's a follower of AOC tweets. She's a follower of her committee. What's really happening here is nothing except the perpetration of a fiction among the voters of America. What they want them to believe is that they're up here doing something that they're not, simply because they hate this president. They cannot stand the fact that he is leading, that he's actually doing stuff for our country, and that they can't defeat that. So they have to come up with fiction that they're in an impeachment inquiry. If I see one more reporter say that we've started an impeachment inquiry, I just want to scream, because we've not started anything. In fact, she even told her caucus yesterday, we were told, that really nothing's changed, but we're just going to keep pushing the narrative.
So
that's not
leadership.
Wait.
Just one second. What do you mean? For the non-legal expert watching right now, there really is no impeachment going on, correct?
That is correct. There is no impeachment inquiry.
Vote.
Exactly right. If she wants to do it, she needs to bring it to the floor. And if she's not going to bring it to the floor, quit telling the American public that you're not doing something.
Congressman, you used to be a minister before you went to serve our country. You were serving God. We should be having you on to talk about the president speaking at the UN, talking about religious liberties, how impressive that was. We should be talking about all of his bilateral meetings that he's had with leaders of other countries in the world and how that helps our country. But instead, we're talking about another investigation, impeachment inquiries. What do we know about this whistleblower? I'm reading now that someone in the administration, a senior Trump administration official, told Fox that they will release documents showing that this whistleblower has political bias. What do you know about that?
Well, what you just said there, the very question you ask is the reason that yesterday was so absurd, and this speaker is acting so absurdly. We've not seen the transcript. We've not had anything released. We're going on hearsay, rumor, innuendo, and that's how she's chose to run the government. What we need to know is get the transcripts out. Let's look at those. The president has been very cooperative in saying, okay, fine, you want to see it? We'll do that. This is what makes me, and I think the American people, so frustrated that instead of governing, instead of asking and doing proper oversight, they're abusing the rules of the House. They're abusing the processes of the House to make a political statement. The House of Representatives, I need to tell the Speaker of the House, the House of Representatives is not an arm of the DCCC campaign committee. They need to get to governing instead of attacking this president.
Congressman, according to Fox News, there are, in the transcript that we're going to see later today, there are a few words in the transcript that will raise eyebrows, but it's not nearly as bad as the Democrats say. What do you think that means?
I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But I know for the Democrats, if it has the, an, or a pronoun, they're going to say it raises eyebrows, because all they've wanted to actually do is impeach this president. This is not new. The American people are seeing through this. The polls are showing the American people seeing through this. You know, I don't give advice to my political, counterparts, but it seems like they would actually understand that passing legislation, doing business for the American people is far more productive than attacking a very successful president. They don't like him. Everybody knows that. But quit making up stuff to deceive the American people of what you're doing.
And I watched some people on other channels last night, and they're kind of worried, big Democrats, how this could boomerang. We have Newt Gingrich on in about an hour. When he led an impeachment on President Clinton, it was he that lost his job, and Clinton, who left with 64% approval rating. A story that Mark Thiessen has in the Washington Post today says this gets almost no attention, but on CNN in May, Senator Menendez, Dick Durbin, and Senator Pat Leahy, wrote a letter to the Ukrainian Prosecutor General expressing concern at the closing of 4 investigations they said were critical to the Mueller probe. In the letter, they implied that their support for U.S. assistance to Ukraine was at stake. Isn't that exactly what they're saying the president brought up in a casual conversation with the new leader of the Ukraine?
Oh, how dare you bring that up? That's democratic processes working, and they're supposed to. This shows the hypocrisy. It's just a heightened of hypocrisy up here that they have no agenda, they have no provision for America, but they do have a vision for hatred of the president. They do have a vision for trying to overturn the will of the people. I go back to one thing from yesterday. Ms. Pelosi may be Speaker of the House, but she does not rule the House by fiat. She cannot decide what she wants on her own. She can only deceive, and that's what she did yesterday, to appease her base, to appease her party, to say, we're not making any progress here. Jerry Nadler spent 9 months doing this, and it's turned into nothing but chaos in our committee. This is just simply about the president. It's simply about getting at him, and we deserve better than this.
Yeah, Mark Thiessen goes on to, in that article in the Washington Post, he talks about the hypocrisy, the double standard. He mentions that what these three senators, the letter that they sent to the Ukraine, the top prosecutor there, begging him not to close these investigations on the Mueller thing and the president. But he also mentions Joe Biden and how Joe Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees to the Ukraine if the government didn't fire that top prosecutor. So clearly a double standard.
On camera.
Right.
It is just amazing what we're seeing. But I encourage the American people, watch what the president's doing. Look at the leadership he's providing. Look at what Congress is doing and the fiction that they're perpetrating. This will come out. We're going to continue to tell the truth. If the speaker wants to continue to deceive, we're going to continue to tell the truth. All they need to do is continue to watch, and we're going to keep that forward.
Well, as long as if they're going to have an investigation, they should look all across, because Rudy Giuliani was on a bit of a tweet storm last night, Congressman. After midnight, he tweeted this out. Democratic Party is covering up a pattern of corruption involving high-level members of the Obama cabinet. The multi-million and billion-dollar pay-for-play is mind-boggling. Biden family sale of office to Ukraine was not the only one or the most egregious. Slimy Joe is not alone. What do you think he's saying there?
Well, I think he's saying that there's a lot of things that need to be investigated. I think there's a lot of things from the previous administration. Look, I want to go back to something real quickly. We've always talked about investigating the investigators and how this all started for 2 years' worth. Last Friday, we released and we found the FOIA request on memos in which we actually show McCabe talking about having a wire war into the White House. We actually talk about McCabe being the start of the collusion narrative. If we want to talk about the corrupt cabal in Department of Justice, which the Democrats have all of a sudden put their head in the sand and forgotten, let's go back to actually see that the things that we've been talking about for 2 years actually were coming true. You want to see corruption? You want to see a corrupt cabal? Look at CNN contributor Mr. McCabe, who now goes back and we see exactly what they were doing. These are the kind of things. If you want to look at real things, let's look at what actually happened. Let's quit this
well, do you think,
farce with the
Congressman,
president.
then do you think it's a coincidence that the Inspector General report is set to come out any day now, and suddenly we're talking impeachment?
Well, look, I would want to change the narrative, too. They've tried a false narrative of trying to impeach this president for a long time. And look, if I was Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Page and all that, you don't want this investigated. You thought you got away with it. You quit. You got out of government. You went to do your books and your contributors. Look, Comey in particular said he's not a liar or a leaker. He's both. McCabe, we already know what happened now, and then he lost his job. We're seeing all this start to come out, and I think this is what the American people need to focus on. Focus on the facts. Don't focus on the fiction Ms. Pelosi wants you to look at.
And if you ever want to see you really teed off, I'll watch some of the testimony when I see the Judiciary Committee there. Jerry Nadler still can't keep up with you. Real quick, the Washington Examiner says Ukraine is likely to reopen the investigation into Burisma, and that is the name of the company that Hunter Biden was a chief investor on, that was paying him $50,000 a week to be a month to be there. The Ukraine says they want to make sure everything was done on the up and up. Today, the president's going to sit down with the Ukrainian president. Also, there's a huge push to allow the U.S. to lead the renegotiation of the Iranian deal. How embarrassing is this for the whole world to see us in New York having this infighting? Couldn't this have waited a day, and wouldn't that have helped the country?
Wow, that would be like putting America first. That would be like putting our country first instead of having our president up there working his backside off to help us and to renegotiate plans where Iran is such a bad actor on the field. This is just simply a distraction because they cannot stand this president. I cannot emphasize that enough. You know, if this had happened with a Republican Congress with a President Obama during UN week, can you imagine the headlines?
Right.
No, this is simply a distraction because they don't like what he's doing.
I'm going to add something else. When the president first took over, obviously the rest of the world did not know what to make of him. Most didn't like him. But now, if you look around the world, the South Korean leader, the president of Japan, Boris Johnson and he are good buddies. Macron is still trying to broker something with our president. They obviously have a good personal relationship.
Mexico's helping us.
Mexico is helping us in a way we never thought possible. The Pakistani leader, as complicated as that country is, and our president seems to be getting along, he's got more friends on the world stage than he actually has at home.
Oh, it is. Guatemala, El Salvador. Let's continue the process here. I mean, when you start India, I mean, this week, this is the kind of thing that I think frustrates most Americans. Most Americans, frankly, they don't get up and they really don't want to care about Washington, D.C. They want to care about a president who's taking care of them, and they want to make sure they can get their jobs done. They want to make sure they can have a place for their kids. They want to have the things in life that they want. And when a government does that, that puts them first. That's what this president's doing, is putting America first, putting those average, everyday workers first, while we have a Congress and a speaker up here who wants to do nothing but a sham on the American people because they hate this president.
Yeah, they've pushed Nancy Pelosi into a corner, but like you said, a lot of Democrats are saying it's going to boomerang and it's going to backfire on them. We'll have to see. We're going to have Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal attorney, on with us later this morning, so you have to stay tuned. Thank you so much, Congressman Collins, from the great state of Georgia.
Yeah, not that you need another career, but you could do a morning show. You are wide awake.
Thanks a lot. I'm normally running watching you at this time of the day.
Okay,
really?
Good. All right,
yes.
take your resting pulse as we toss over to Jillian. Congressman, thank you.